What happens when America's most beloved escape transforms into its most expensive trap? Picture this. A city that once welcomed 42 million dreamers with open arms and $5 breakfasts now charges $26 for bottled water and treats guests like walking ATMs. The neon paradise that built an empire on making ordinary people feel extraordinary has been systematically dismantled by corporate overlords obsessed with quarterly profits. This isn't just another story about rising prices, it's the complete autopsy of how Wall Street murdered the American dream, one resort fee at a time. The numbers don't lie, and neither do the millions of heartbroken visitors who've watched their favorite playground become a gilded prison. So ask yourself, who killed the Vegas that once made everyone feel like a winner? And is there any hope left to revive the last American city where ordinary people could still feel like royalty? The golden years, when Vegas actually cared about you. Not so long ago, Las Vegas operated on a revolutionary business model that would make today's MBA graduates break out in cold sweats. They actually wanted you to have a good time without bankrupting yourself. The year 2019 stands as a monument to what happens when hospitality trumps spreadsheets, when a city's soul matters more than its stock price. Walk into any casino back then, and magic happened before you even reached the gaming floor. The valet didn't just park your car, he welcomed you like family returning home. Inside, cocktail waitresses moved through crowds with genuine smiles, not the forced grins of workers terrified of losing their jobs. The atmosphere crackled with possibility, not the sterile efficiency of a corporate machine designed to extract maximum profit per square foot. The economics were beautifully simple, yet brilliant. Casinos understood that a happy customer spending $20 repeatedly was infinitely more valuable than a frustrated customer spending $200 once. This philosophy manifested in countless small gestures that collectively created an experience worth traveling thousands of miles to repeat. Pit bosses wielded comp power like fairy godmothers, transforming modest gambling sessions into VIP experiences with a wink and a handshake. Food became the great equalizer. Whether you wore a tuxedo or flip-flops, that legendary steak and eggs breakfast cost the same $5 for everyone. Buffets sprawled like abundance festivals, offering everything from prime rib to exotic desserts at prices that made families feel wealthy. The message was crystal clear. Vegas wanted your money, but it also wanted you to feel good about spending it. The psychological brilliance extended beyond mere pricing. Free parking sent a message before you even entered a building. We value your presence more than your pocket change. Complimentary drinks flowed to anyone showing the slightest interest in gaming, creating an atmosphere where luck felt purchasable and dreams seemed within reach. Early check-ins happened with a smile, late checkouts with a wave, because customer satisfaction mattered more than operational efficiency. This wasn't accidental generosity. It was calculated kindness that generated fierce loyalty. Regular visitors became unofficial ambassadors, returning year after year while recruiting friends and family. The word-of-mouth marketing was priceless, creating a self-sustaining ecosystem where genuine hospitality generated authentic enthusiasm. Vegas had cracked the code on making people feel special without actually being special, and everyone was in on the beautiful conspiracy. The city's reputation as America's playground wasn't just marketing hyperbole, it was reality. Middle-class families could afford genuine luxury experiences, couples could celebrate anniversaries without financial stress, and groups of friends could create legendary memories without requiring trust fund backing. Vegas had democratized the high life, making everyone feel like they belonged in the winner's circle. The pandemic pause, when the music stopped. March 17, 2020, didn't just mark another day in Las Vegas history. It became the date when America's entertainment capital discovered its own mortality. For the first time since the Kennedy assassination, the Strip went completely dark, not from tragedy, but from an invisible enemy that turned crowds into dangerous gatherings and chaos into deadly risk. The silence was deafening. Casino floors that had hummed with 24-hour energy became vast museums of abandoned dreams. Slot machines stood like digital tombstones, their screens black and lifeless. The famous fountains at Bellagio, programmed to dance for millions of visitors, performed their final show to empty sidewalks before falling still. Security guards patrolled ghost towns where fortunes had been won and lost just days before. The human cost hit immediately and brutally. Unemployment skyrocketed past 30%, transforming Las Vegas from a city of opportunity into a disaster zone. Cocktail servers who had earned six-figure incomes through tips found themselves in food bank lines. Housekeepers who had taken pride in maintaining world-class standards were suddenly unemployed with no timeline for return. The Culinary Union, representing thousands of hospitality workers, watched their membership face an unprecedented crisis. Desperation bred dangerous shortcuts. The union filed lawsuits just to force casinos to maintain basic cleaning standards and keep essential staff employed. Hotels that had once competed on luxury began cutting corners that would have been unthinkable months earlier. The city's reputation for world-class service started crumbling as quickly as its visitor numbers. When the doors finally reopened, Las Vegas faced a visitor base it didn't recognize. Bargain hunters arrived expecting luxury experiences at Depression-era prices. The disconnect between guest expectations and financial reality created tension that exploded into viral videos of fights in hotel lobbies and casino floors. Security staff, already stretched thin from layoffs, couldn't maintain the order that had once seemed effortless. The chaos wasn't just operational, it was existential. Las Vegas had always marketed itself as a place where anything could happen, but the anything was supposed to be winning jackpots or meeting celebrities, not witnessing brawls or experiencing substandard service. The city's carefully crafted image as a safe space for calculated risks began cracking under the pressure of genuine unpredictability. Local news stations filled airtime with stories that would have been unthinkable in 2019. Housekeepers are afraid to work alone on certain floors. Bartenders watching tips evaporate as guests nursed single drinks for hours. Even veteran pit bosses admitted the atmosphere felt fundamentally different, more volatile and less controllable. The pandemic hadn't just interrupted Las Vegas, it had revealed how fragile the entire ecosystem really was. The generous hospitality that seemed natural was actually the product of careful financial engineering. When the money disappeared, so did the magic. The question became whether either would ever truly return. The Wall Street takeover, when landlords became kings. Recovery arrived with strings attached literally. As Las Vegas clawed its way back to life, a new breed of owner emerged from the shadows with checkbooks full of promises and contracts full of traps. Wall Street had discovered that the real money in gambling wasn't at the tables. It was in the real estate beneath them. Blackstone's acquisition of the Bellagio's land for $4.25 billion marked the beginning of the end for old-school Vegas hospitality. They didn't want to run casinos. They wanted to own the ground under them and charge rent that escalated automatically every year. The sale-leaseback model transformed iconic properties into corporate tenants, paying landlords who had never dealt a card or poured a drink. The financial engineering was diabolically brilliant. Private equity firms and real estate investment trusts carved up the Strip like a Thanksgiving turkey, separating operations from ownership in ways that guaranteed profits regardless of customer satisfaction. MGM found itself paying $245 million annually just for the privilege of operating in buildings they had once owned outright. Every lease came with escalation clauses that made annual rent increases automatic, typically tied to inflation plus additional percentages. These weren't negotiations. They were mathematical certainties that prioritized landlord returns over guest experiences. The pressure flowed downhill like toxic water, forcing operators to find new revenue streams or face financial disaster. The Cosmopolitan deal in 2022 perfected the model, creating a structure where operational success became secondary to rent payments. Casino executives found themselves managing spreadsheets instead of customer satisfaction surveys. Every decision filtered through a simple question: will this help us make rent? Free parking became the first casualty. Why offer complimentary services when you need $18 per day just to break even on lease obligations? Buffets disappeared or transformed into premium experiences because feeding people cheaply conflicted with paying landlords expensively. Resort fees multiplied like financial cancer, creating revenue streams that existed purely to satisfy contractual obligations to people who had never set foot in Nevada. The human cost was devastating for both workers and guests. Long-time employees watched their authority evaporate as algorithms replaced relationship building. Casino hosts, who had once wielded real power to create memorable experiences, found themselves helpless against software that calculated every comp down to the penny. The personal touch that had defined Vegas hospitality became a luxury the new financial structure couldn't afford. Guests felt the shift immediately. Regulars who had enjoyed VIP treatment based on years of loyalty discovered their relationships meant nothing to facial recognition systems programmed to maximize revenue per square foot. High rollers accustomed to genuine service found themselves arguing over $10 smoothies after losing thousands at blackjack tables. The transformation wasn't gradual, it was systematic. Wall Street had weaponized hospitality, turning every interaction into a profit center and every guest into a data point. The city that had once made everyone feel like winners was now designed to make everyone pay like losers, except the landlords, who always won regardless of what happened on the casino floor. The social media reckoning, when receipts went viral. The revolution began not with protests, but with phone cameras and TikTok accounts. Generation Z and millennials, armed with unlimited data plans and zero tolerance for corporate nonsense, started documenting their Vegas experiences with forensic precision. Every overpriced water bottle became evidence, every hidden fee became ammunition, and every disappointing interaction became viral content. The hashtag Vegas is dead wasn't planned. It evolved organically as visitors shared increasingly outrageous receipts. A $26 bottle of water at a pool party, a $100 breakfast that would cost $20 anywhere else, a $40 fee for checking in 3 hours early. Each post accumulated thousands of comments from fellow travelers sharing their own horror stories, creating a digital support group for Vegas victims. The content wasn't just complaining, it was investigative journalism by proxy. Influencers started comparing prices across properties, timing staff response rates, and calculating the true cost of Vegas vacations. The transparency was devastating for casinos accustomed to information asymmetry. Suddenly, everyone knew exactly how much they were being overcharged and why. Traditional damage control proved useless against viral authenticity. Press releases and corporate statements couldn't compete with real-time documentation of terrible service and predatory pricing. Casino marketing departments found themselves fighting a guerrilla war against an army of disappointed customers with smartphone cameras and social media savvy. The numbers behind the outrage told an even darker story. Occupancy rates began declining as word spread about the new Vegas reality. Revenue per available room plummeted nearly 29% during peak periods as hotels desperately slashed prices to fill empty beds. The Strip, once so crowded that walking required strategy, featured rows of unused slot machines and abandoned gaming tables. Convention attendance dropped as corporate event planners realized their budgets couldn't absorb Vegas's new pricing structure. Business travelers, once a reliable revenue source, began choosing alternative destinations that offered better value and fewer surprises. The ripple effects extended far beyond tourism, impacting local businesses that depended on visitor spending. The Formula One Grand Prix debacle became a perfect case study in how not to treat your local community. Months of construction disrupted small businesses, creating a disaster that some owners said was worse than the pandemic. When tickets originally priced over $2,000 had to be slashed by more than half just to avoid empty grandstands, the message was clear. Even global events couldn't overcome Vegas's reputation problem. By 2025, Las Vegas counted 1.5 million fewer visitors than the previous year, a staggering decline for a city built entirely on tourism. The social media documentation had created a feedback loop where bad experiences generated negative publicity, which discouraged new visitors, which forced even more desperate revenue extraction from remaining guests. The viral nature of the criticism meant that Vegas's reputation damage spread far beyond traditional media reach. Every disappointed customer became a broadcaster, every overpriced experience became content, and every corporate misstep became a permanent internet record. The city that had once generated positive word of mouth through genuine hospitality was now generating negative buzz through documented greed. The death of a dream, how America lost its playground. The transformation of Las Vegas from beloved escape to corporate extraction machine represents more than just bad business decisions. It symbolizes the systematic dismantling of accessible luxury in America. What died in Vegas wasn't just a tourist destination. It was the idea that ordinary people deserved extraordinary treatment, that middle-class families could afford genuine glamour, and that hospitality meant more than revenue optimization. The numbers paint a picture of methodical destruction. A city that welcomed over 42 million visitors in 2019 with open arms and reasonable prices has become a cautionary tale of what happens when Wall Street discovers a profitable community and decides to optimize it to death. The sale-leaseback model didn't just change ownership structures, it fundamentally altered the relationship between businesses and customers. When rent payments become more important than customer satisfaction, every interaction transforms from relationship building to revenue extraction. The pit boss, who once had discretion to comp a meal or show ticket, has been replaced by algorithms that calculate the precise minimum required to keep gamblers at tables. The casino host who built relationships over years finds their authority stripped by facial recognition software programmed to maximize profit per guest. The psychological impact extends far beyond individual disappointments. Las Vegas had served as proof that American capitalism could create genuine value for regular people, that businesses could profit by making customers feel valued and appreciated. The city's destruction of this model sends a chilling message about the future of service industries across the country. The social media documentation of Vegas's decline serves as a real-time case study in how corporate greed ultimately defeats itself. By prioritizing short-term revenue extraction over long-term relationship building, the Strip's new owners have created a textbook example of how to destroy brand value and customer loyalty. The viral nature of customer complaints means that every overpriced water bottle and hidden fee becomes permanent reputation damage that spreads far beyond its immediate victim. Small businesses throughout Las Vegas have become collateral damage in this war between corporate profits and customer satisfaction. Local restaurants, shops, and service providers that depended on satisfied tourists spending discretionary income now face customers who arrive already angry about hotel fees and resort charges. The economic ecosystem that supported thousands of entrepreneurial ventures has been poisoned by predatory pricing at its foundation. The Formula One disaster perfectly encapsulated the new Vegas priorities. Local businesses suffered through months of construction disruption so the city could host a prestige event that ultimately struggled to fill seats even at drastically reduced prices. The message to long-term residents and small business owners was unmistakable. Your needs matter less than corporate event revenue, even when that revenue fails to materialize. Perhaps most tragically, The destruction of Vegas hospitality eliminates one of America's last democratic luxury experiences. The city represented a rare space where service quality wasn't determined by economic class, where a $20 gambler received the same enthusiastic treatment as a high roller. That equality of experience created the magical atmosphere that made Vegas special and profitable. The decline from 42.5 million visitors to current levels represents more than statistical variation. It demonstrates the direct relationship between authentic hospitality and business success. By abandoning the generous philosophy that built their reputation, Vegas casinos have created a death spiral where declining service quality drives away customers, forcing even more aggressive revenue extraction from remaining visitors. Wall Street's experiment with Vegas proves that some business models cannot survive financial engineering. The city's success had always depended on creating experiences that felt valuable regardless of actual cost. When every interaction became a calculated profit center, the magic disappeared along with the margins. The result is a cautionary tale that extends far beyond Nevada's borders. Today's Las Vegas serves as a monument to short-term thinking and long-term destruction. The private equity firms and real estate investment trusts that carved up the Strip achieved their quarterly objectives while systematically destroying the cultural phenomenon that made those profits possible. They optimized the golden goose to death, leaving behind empty hotel rooms and bitter memories where dreams once flourished. The transformation of Las Vegas from America's playground into corporate America's playground represents one of the most documented cases of greed destroying its own foundation. The city that once made everyone feel like winners has become a place where only landlords actually win, while workers struggle and visitors leave disappointed. The viral documentation of this decline serves as a warning about what happens when financial engineering replaces genuine hospitality, when algorithms replace human judgment, and when quarterly profits matter more than customer relationships. Las Vegas was once built on dreams, risk, and human connection. Today, it feels more like a factory line, soulless, predictable, and designed to squeeze every last dollar. Rising resort fees, hidden charges, paid parking, and the constant nickel and diming have turned a magical escape into a financial trap. Workers who once carried pride in serving guests now carry exhaustion and resentment as corporations cut labor to maximize margins. What was once a city of hope now reflects a larger American crisis where profit overshadows people and trust is quietly eroded. If you found this story as shocking as we did, make sure to like and subscribe because, unfortunately, Vegas isn't the only American institution being destroyed by unchecked corporate greed, and these stories need to be told before it's too late.